Ready, go ahead.
Go ahead, he said.
Take the lens cap off, Bob.
All right, Bob, you organized this morning.
I'm organized, I'm just running late.
Good. All right, several items. You notice we do have, our attendance is not good this morning. I will get to that in a few minutes. All right. We have Richard, and I'm glad to see him Saturday night. He looked great. I'll talk with him again probably today by phone. So he's making progress, looks good. Also, reminder, food, if you haven't paid your $1 for food, please do so. All right, couple issues. All right, we had last week, you notice we met at the Presbyterian Church, and we had one Rotarian that came to this meeting, unannounced. There we go. Good morning, sir. I need $1. Would you sit down? Yep. All right. We had the Presbyterian Church, but this one Rotarian came here without being informed, not on the newsletter, not on the emails, anything to communicate. He's very upset about what happened, and I understand that. And as I understand, our president sent out the emails, but did not include his name in the emails. Thank you, sir. And also the sponsor, Rick,
that covers your next point, because I made a mistake.
Joe, do you feel better, or is this?
Yeah, I feel redeemed.
Okay.
Phil, do you have him on the list now?
He will be.
All right,
I was
we got
checking
it.
this morning to be sure I had an email address.
All right, good deal. Okay, here's where the issue is. We've got a grave issue with the club. Grave issue. I haven't figured it out yet. Haven't figured out the problem. All right, Augustus Gump sent out an email, which was 2015. Okay, about meeting at Classroom Connection.
No, I'll fess up to that.
Well,
My hard drive blew, okay? And when I installed another hard drive, for some reason, the other one, in attempting to dump the backup, sent it in an old email. I saw it, gosh, how did that happen?
It has caused a lot of stress in our club.
No
That's
doubt.
why our attendance is not good this morning. I need $1, but originally Augustus Gump sent it out. All right, Reinhardt, for unknown reason, sent out an email 2015. Okay, the first person to jump on that email was Bob Steiger. Okay, he sent out that he could not get there and get back to work in time. Okay, then I responded to that because I got to leave early this morning, that I couldn't make it. And then Dan Green texted me about it. And he's thinking about legal action of this whole thing because it has caused all kinds of confusion in the club. Mr. Steiger, any response?
I'll pay Dan's legal fee.
All right, you need to cover it because he is upset. And
Just to get past this.
He'll get past it.
No, let's get past this.
Yeah. All right, you're paying Dan, but you're not paying yours. All right, good. All right, good deal. Now, does everyone understand? That was 2015. Augustus Gump originally sent it out, then Reinhardt decided to send it out again just for kicks.
Retransmit.
All right, it's sent out. All right, anything else to come before the club? We do have a guest in the program this morning who will be introduced. So, anyway, it's all yours, Mr.
Thank you. All right, club.
Good morning, gentlemen. This morning we have with us Mr. Jim Hillebrand, General Manager of Golden Corral, who is very instrumental in helping the DAV on Veterans Day.
Jim, would you repeat your guest name, please?
Jim Hillebrand.
Hildebrand.
Look at the program.
It's spelled wrong.
I owe you $1.
That's another $1.
No, but we were the lazy ones, we just dropped it, they used to.
Yeah.
So anytime you wish to start, sir.
Rick, I appreciate all the support.
Sorry we don't have a full house today.
He warned us about it, right?
Yeah.
Half of them are probably out of Classroom Connection.
That's it.
Oh, Lord.
Alrighty. As y'all well know, Golden Corral, we put a lot of emphasis on our veterans, what they do, and the sacrifices sacrifices they made. And in 2001, we started honoring them with a free meal. It always falls the first Monday after Veterans Day. And it's called Military Appreciation Night. And it was started after September 11, 2000. And we do this every year. This will be our 17th year doing it. We have fed over 5 million people. You just show up, and if you tell us you're a veteran, you served, then nobody's going to ask you what unit or where's your card or anything like that. We just feed people. And like I said, year to date, we've done 5 million of those. We partner with the local DAV, and they're allowed to, for 2 weeks leading up to that, solicit funds, introduce people to our guests to the DAV as they walk in, and let them know a little bit about what they're about. And sometimes they can get volunteers to help. We also do Camp Corral. Camp Corral is something that was started in 2011. Since 2001, our company realized the stress and that was on families, the constant deployment, 6 on, 6 off, and they realized, the problems that it was causing with the families and all. So we started this program called Camp Corral. And Camp Corral is where kids 8 to 15 whose parents were either disabled, wounded, or fallen can go to this camp. And since we started it in 2011, it's grown 750%. This past year, we sent 3,600 kids at roughly $600 a child to camp. It's 23 camps located all across the United States. And it's a life-changing thing for these kids. They really enjoy it. The parents really enjoy it because a lot of them, they're not able to do this for their kids. So it gives them a lot of things going on. We will start our military appreciation thing today, won't we, Jim?
Yes, we will.
Okay. And then we'll run it through Man Night, which is November the 13th. And any of y'all veterans come out and eat with us. That's kind of short and to the point, but today, on the DAVs, we've raised over $12.9 million for the DAV since its inception in 2001. And that's pretty much it. Any questions y'all would have for me on it? Hey, Donald.
Hey, how you doing?
How's it going, buddy?
Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you.
Does the Golden Corral do anything else for any other organizations?
I'm glad you asked that. We just started something this past, I think it was September, called GC Cares. Now this is an in-house thing because of all the hurricane damage done in Texas and Florida. So we have a lot of Golden Corrals there. So we started a fund that's funded by our employees throughout Golden Corral, where we assist families who have lost a lot and and have needs because of these hurricanes.
Awesome.
So we started that. It's done extremely well. We've been able to help quite a few families with this. Yes, sir.
Do you know how many vets you serve annually on that day? Is it possible to track that? Just ballpark? Man,
To date, we've served just a little over 5 million people.
right. I just meant locally. Like, what
locally.
would a day in the life of Mr. Hildebrand?
1.5 million, it seemed like.
He's not exaggerating.
I can relate.
Now,
Yeah.
last
Wide
year,
open.
I'm sure.
Last year, from 5 to 9, we served 1,015 people.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And they're lined up at 5 o'clock.
So they're lined up at
They're lined up.
3:30.
Yeah, lined up
All the way down to the
3:30.
parking lot.
Well, good for you. That's
Thank
a
you.
wonderful thing you do. Yeah.
Well, and all this came about after 9/11, because I think at first it was just, we wanted to do something special that particular year because it just happened. and then we decided to do it another year. But then we started seeing the strain that it really has put on our military. Because I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years, and deployment every 6 to 8 months, that's tough. That's very, very tough, because when I was in, you served 1 year and you didn't have to do it again. If you were a lifer, you didn't have to do it again for another 3 years. Now they're doing it in 8 months. So that's putting a ton of strain on families. So then we just decided just to continue, and the rest is history. And
Gary Sinise still part of your programs?
Pardon me?
Is Gary Sinise still part of the corporate
He's
program?
still the public figure.
The face of it.
Uh-huh.
My sister-in-law helped organize Camp Corral for many years. Where is that located?
Well, the corporate office in Raleigh
Yeah, she
is the
worked
one that
there.
heads everything up.
Yeah, she worked there.
Yeah, it started out like one camp.
There's more than one camp going on now?
It's 23.
Okay, great.
Because of the interest and all the kids that have applied just now. And like I told you, it has to be a veteran's child that was either wounded or disabled, or their spouse, applied because they were, had died.
How many states is Golden Corral in?
We are in 46 states right now.
Wow.
We have over 482 stores. Most of them are franchisees.
How many employees does it take to do what you do in a day? How many people are employed at this store here in Hickory?
We employ 54 people.
Realizing that fluctuates some, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it picks up going into the busier seasons, tax season, holiday season, Mother's Day, Father's Day, right in there in those times. But at the low point, we're employing around 52, at the high point around 56, 58.
That's awesome too.
So it's
Where did Golden Corral start? What's the history on Golden Corral?
Golden Corral. James Maynard started Golden Corral in 1973 in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And about went broke the first 2 years, and the rest is history.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Anybody else in here, child of military, have experienced as children of a military family? That's what I want to say. Am I the only service brat? I can tell you concerning the camp thing, from my experience wasn't too bad. My father was career Navy, so he went off on that.
And the Marines always say.
Freaking Marines.
Now,
They're always so mean.
you know I
Guys are
have
always
things
so
I can
mean.
say back,
I know.
but because of decorum here, I'm not allowed to say those things. For those of you who don't know, by the way, the Navy and the Marines have a strange relationship. They're like brothers. When there are other armed forces people around, they're good buddies. But as soon as it's just Navy and Marines, they fight like cats and dogs and say just terrible things about each other. Anyway, from my experience, and of course with lots of friends who were children friends who were in the same boat I was, it's tough, when dad or mom goes off for weeks or months at a time, and then comes back. It's tough on the kids. It's really tough on the spouse that's left behind to manage the household on their own. They really do become a single parent for a while. And in many situations, spouses, in my day, of course it was moms, band together and kind of help each other out. But it's a real difficult situation. So it's really, really good to hear that Golden Corral is involved in a program to help, especially the families that are really wounded by what's happened in the armed forces. But yeah, all of you remember that there's the vet that goes off, and there's the family that's left behind that goes on with it. So thank you for that help.
To really understand it, I didn't at first, but when you stop to think about You know, back when I was in the service, and you would deploy for a year, and this was a few years after Vietnam, so we were in no hurry to get into any kind of conflict. So it was easy duty other than you were gone. Now these people go into war zones. And then when they come back home, they have to deal with everything they went through. Then you turn around and do it again, and again, and again. So the stress levels are just off the charts. We're, in my opinion, we're just wearing them out. We need larger armies or military so that maybe they aren't going on deployment so much because they're in harm's way at life. Any more questions?
Marine Corps trivia history. Is it true that in the cover that the Marine Corps man wears, the Marine Corps soldier wears, you have that braid on the cover to keep the Navy guys from hitting you in the head with a pin?
Now, you're not talking about the utilities, you're talking about the dress uniform.
Yeah, the white hat has braid on the top to keep Navy guys from dropping belaying pins on their heads.
I've never, I don't, maybe officers have it, military, enlisted didn't. That's just a plain white cover to fit over that frame.
Oh, I'll be darned.
Okay, can I add something?
Please.
He also takes care of the ROTC.
Yes.
We went Saturday for the tournament, stopped by there, fed everyone. Now, they do work for their food. They will be back over there the day that they're serving the food, but I've done it twice with them. And there's not one kid that leaves there that is tired. And it's not because they haven't worked, trust me, but every one of them walk out there with pride on their shoulders because of what he does and what he lets them do.
They are a blessing, I tell you. It's bussing tables and whatever you ask them to do, they're ready to do.
And 4 hours goes by like an hour because you're wide open.
Jim, do I remember you from Chief Word Band days?
Yes, my daughters, Megan and Lauren.
Yeah, no kidding. So now, speaking of feeding folks, my wife and I were band boosters for decades, it seems like. And Jim was in the band booster program at the same time and fed goodness knows how many cajillion people.
Man, I know.
Oh yeah, there's the
band
face.
board festivals.
Yeah, at the band contest. Yeah. Jim would show up with a trailer and folks to help feed and so on, and was a great asset to the program. So thank you. And most of all, from the club, thank you for your service. And
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Made by Wayne when he's not busy finding us. He works with wood, and Wayne makes those for us. So
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
thank you again for the program.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, y'all take care.
Are you a Rotarian?
No, I'm saving all that till I retire. 'Cause you do 65 hours a week, you never see your wife. So when I retire, my off time now is I dedicate to her. There's not a lot of
Very
other-
good, very good.
Thank you.
Do you have enough help volunteering on that Veterans Day?
Well, we do. Thanks to the ROTC at Hickory High. Yeah, we have plenty of help.
First couple of years, it was a slight struggle until we got everything organized and ROTC in to help us and stuff like that.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
y'all.
Thank you. All right, so everybody, I'm sure would like to chat about the data, so I'm going to save that for a moment so we can get some other things out of the way. I know both, each of you want to talk, so go real quick.
Just an update on Jenny White.
Oh.
She had knee surgery, and I emailed her to see how she's doing. She said, I'm out of surgery, just did the kneecap, as the rest of the knee looked pretty good. The spinal has worn off and working to keep the pain under control. Epic fail on first attempt to stand. Too dizzy and pukey. more information than I did. But hoping for another attempt in a bit. She wants to know how was the dance and who won the gun.
Nice. You did a nice job.
I told her I sent her the name of the person, but she's doing okay.
Was that lady pregnant, was holding that gun?
No, but I'll tell her you said that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Now that she's got the gun, I'll get shot.
Great way to handle
That was good.
So, again, before we dig into the dance too heavily, Mr. Reinhardt has a few comments.
I would like to have the club embrace the idea of including a new line item in the budget. I know we've been to budget and talked about it, but we have not, by circumstance of our past, not really well funded the training and development of Rotary leaders. In other words, we have the Rotary Leader Institute, which comes at $95 a head. We have PETS, which has attendance fee, room, and travel. And as those of you who've just recently been through it with the changes that have been added to it in zones 33, 34, and what Jack was doing with the pre-PETS training, he was sending out an email activity every month for the presidents-elect to perform on, to develop them in their understanding of what their role was and what the function of the club and Rotary was. We don't fund that. We've always managed to pick up some of the expenses after the fact, but I think it would behoove us to include leadership and development expenses as a planned budget item. I don't know, I haven't worked out what that number might want to be. We could certainly tell after this year, but we ought to plan to include that as a line item in our budget. So
You can talk about for next year.
as soon, whenever. I mean, we've got one person who's committed to go this year. That's the president-elect. But I think, especially because of his newness to Rotary, the president-elect nominee probably should go too. And they will be included in, I don't know who the new trainer is going to be, but they'll be included in the president-elect training online work. So I just think there's so much to learn and so much to do it well. I mean, you can sit the chair and write out the year and hope it doesn't take the club down, or you can help plan to learn your job and grow the club. And I would like to see us do that, because we are becoming a looked to and dynamic club in this district, and I think we should stand up and show it.
On the budget, there's a line item for meetings.
Yeah.
Is that the one you're talking
Well,
about?
that line item is to cover spokespeople if we have to travel one in, if we have to buy them breakfast, it does that kind of thing. We have used money from that, as I recall, for my pets training. I believe the club paid my travel expense, my mileage to and from, and it's usually at the Corey Center in Greensboro.
Would you, by next week, share with the club a estimate, a ballpark figure?
I will send out an email by next week. If anybody wants to run the camera, I won't be here next week. I have to go to Savannah to see my brother. But yes, I'll put some numbers on paper and get them out for consideration. Thank you.
Some other things to be aware of coming up Friday at 3 p.m. in Newton is Jack McCaskill's funeral services at Burke Mortuary in Newton. I plan to attend. I don't know if any of the rest of you will have a chance to be there.
Yeah.
But 3 o'clock at Burke Mortuary. Saturday evening in Asheville is the Rotary Foundation banquet. Again, I plan to attend. I don't know if anybody else is going. If you're thinking of going, you want to ride together, we can certainly ride share up there and back and cut a little bit of the expense of going and have a chance for some fellowship along the way. The times that I've been to the banquets, they're very informative about what's going on with the foundation, and the food's always good, which is an important factor to help you decide to go. But it's mostly an opportunity to really get up to speed on everything that's going on with the foundation.
What time are you leaving Hickory?
I expect to leave about 4 o'clock. They say it starts at 5:30.
Right.
So that should, barring any kind of craziness on Interstate 40, that'll
We
work.
have some over there.
Okay.
Driving up, so.
All right. I was going to check with Ron because the email that went around, or bulletin, I forget which it was, said, "See Ron if you're going." So I was kind of hoping Ron might have some news, but maybe Ron went to Classroom Connections this morning. In which case there'll be an opportunity for more fines. Okay, that's what I have on the list. On the request that I put in for the money for the Hunger Walk, I have not yet heard from everybody reviewing that, so I can't yet say to you that I want to ask your approval to spend that $100, but it's been yeses so far, so I'll get back to work on that now that we've made it past the dance. Speaking of which,
You have a quorum if you want to do it now.
well, I can't because I haven't had a yes from all 5 people.
Oh,
The
from
committee has to
committee,
meet
I got
and
you.
make a
I got you.
recommendation.
Because as a committee, or club, we have a quorum.
Steigermeister, your thoughts about the dance, please.
Well, I've recovered.
Yeah.
Took a whole day to recover.
Yeah,
I promise I didn't get off the couch Sunday at all. I'm going to give the floor to my accountant / banker / hitman. And he's got an update. It turned out a little better than I thought it would. So
Before Glenn speaks on
Yes.
this, I'll tell you as a past treasurer, we're asking Glenn to do a very difficult thing right now.
That's right.
Because everybody wants to know, within 5 minutes of when we finish a program, how we did. And it's difficult to know. Like there are people like me who are going to write you a $125 check because I didn't sell my program ad. And I'm going to write you a check for $60 for my tickets, my wife and I. So you can add 185 to whatever you're about to say.
And I've got money here for
See, this is what happens. This is what it's like for the treasurer. I'm sorry to do that to you. but-
There'll be more money than what you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As long as it's not less, man. That's all that matters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, thank you, and Dan knows too, because you've
Oh,
done
yeah,
that.
Dan, I'm sorry, it didn't include you in the.
Well,
that
but
experience.
thanks to their work, honestly, Tracy and Dan, this job would be much harder, but they did excellent work prior to my taking over, so it made it much easier. Everything in place. I'm sending around the current balances as of last night. Now, keeping in mind that I've got 2 more deposits to make today, and it looks like I'm going to be adding to that based on, I kind of wanted to hold off because I figure I'd get money today. So the income part, excluding what you just said, I've also I got to pay for a table, and for some reason, Square isn't taking chip cards without the chip adapter. So anyway, I've discovered that, so I'm going to try to look into that. Hopefully there's no expense. Richard's got a couple of sponsors that are turning their money in. That's about $325. The chair, I didn't get $175 for that second chair. If I did, it got commingled.
And you're gonna send me an invoice for Cafe Rule.
Invoice for Cafe Rule. That's correct. I got an email from you, and I have not done that. So was that for
Second chair go?
125?
125.
Okay.
Did that second chair leave the building?
I do not know. Did
The
it?
second chair was the first one to leave the building. Brent McDonald from Tar Heel Wealth Management paid his money, and someone,
Oh, I gave you 175 for the other chair.
okay, so that's the money I turned in.
Yeah, I
so-
got 175 for Bob Steiger.
Yeah,
For
that's
one chair. so-
That's that wide chair, the first chair.
The
Okay.
pretty of the two.
Yeah, I give you
Okay, so then
175.
Brent owes for the other chair from Tar Heel Wealth Management.
Well, again, I just needed to, I was trying to make it crystal clear when I was handing money. I tried to give a receipt and also tried to make it so that I could capture exactly what we're bringing in for what. So
So,
So at least we know where the missing 175 is.
I presume it's not been paid then, is that correct?
Yeah, I'll wait for
Another check.
Brent to say something to me. I don't know if that would, he is our major
You
sponsor.
know, and that was another issue of,
Where's the issue?
do you want to push it? Because the man, they gave free.
He'll probably knock on my door and hand the money, I'm sure. So.
Yeah.
He said he was in for the next dance, by the way, so takes the pressure off.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting he wouldn't, please don't miss it. I'm just saying you're asking me about money, so I'm trying to accommodate all that. So it looked like, minus what we've just discussed, we brought in $15,091, minus Rick's money, Phil, and the other amounts that I've given you. Now, what I've tried to do is capture these expenses. And so, Kenny, I got the invoice for the bulletins, or for the sponsor bulletin, so I will be mailing that. I did write down that amount. Richard Tucker had asked, and I know you've asked repeatedly, to make sure we have a list for if someone takes over, that we would have a clear list of these are your expenses, and we would understand that right off the bat. So I've really worked to try to make sure, so bear with me as I go through it. Sponsor bulletin, and that was minimal. Kenny cut us some slack on that, I think. Was very generous on that charge. Band and sponsors, we typically get 3 food trays, and so I'm going to include that, although I'm donating that. But I want to include it as an expense because we do these things for these people. The costume contest was $100. That's an expense. Insurance, $160.80, and Bob actually got it cheaper this time. Robert McClellan got it cheaper, so we saved some money over last dance. Moretz Mills, $1,500. The DJ was $350. I had a discussion with them, so it was $350. Security, $120. Alan Finley Advertising, $405, and that was for radio and whatever else he did. The band, $3,850. By the way, they're paid in full. They've already cashed their second check. The stage, $1,016.50. The mailings for corporate sponsors, $340.48. And food, I put down $2,100, although he hadn't invoiced me yet, but that's the food. The total expense is $9,942.78.
So net profit?
$5,148.22, minus what these guys,
So
around 6,000.
And there'll be more coming in on.
I mean, well, right, yeah, I'm not including what we just, in this amount, so it's gonna be more.
We'll probably make about 6,000.
6,000.
Yeah, that would be a safe guess, but that's all it is at this point. I'll break it down by category. As the deposits are made, it's recorded into the report according to rifle tickets, according to sponsor, so that way, and that's a question I'm glad you raised, whoever said they pay their $125 is, I think the club voted to either do a table or an ad, is that correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
If that's the case, do I invoice people who did neither? I mean, in other words, if you didn't do a table, do I invoice you for the ad? How do y'all want me to handle that?
I'd say invoice.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, I'm asking, because
That's the way to do it. Do you have the list of those who?
I don't, and that's where I've got to go through your list of ads and just go through and because I think, were you keeping up sponsors?
I'm keeping sponsors, but.
Right. But I'm gonna match that with the tables.
But I don't,
yes.
okay, but you have a list of who bought a table.
Somebody does.
Okay.
I've got a list of who paid for them.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do is look at table, ad, go down, and when I've just determined for certain what the situation is, then do y'all want me to invoice for the $125? I mean, that's what I'm asking. 'Cause-
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yep.
that was a commitment.
Right, that's right.
So if they didn't buy a table, then invoice them for $125.
Or bring in a sponsor.
Or if they didn't.
Or if they didn't sell an ad, obviously, yeah. If you didn't already sell an ad, I'm assuming you didn't sell the
And you
ads.
might want to take your table proceeds and give that to Rick, and he can see who had committed to a table and not yet rendered.
I have a list of tickets out, but I don't know who's paid, and that's the thing.
Right, and I've recorded as carefully as possible where all that's come from, so that we would be as accurate as possible with that, so we get a better look at what we're looking at for future dances, because I know you and Richard have asked for that, so in case someone else, like Robert McKellen stepped up and did, some things to help run it, so.
Would
It's
it
helpful.
help, would it help you if everybody emailed to you if they bought a table or if they got a sponsor?
That would be great. I mean, I don't mind the honor system, so to speak, or whatever, to help me match it up against what we've got. Because,
Let's do that. If you bought a table or if you brought in an ad, email Glenn so that it'll help his his accounting on.
I really appreciate
things
that, because
pulled
I
together.
don't want to be the bad guy again, coming in saying, okay, we're gonna invoice, because I just need to know what to do is all I'm asking, so how y'all want to handle it, so.
Absolutely.
Kenny,
Sir.
thank you very much for all your work on printing up stuff, our signage, our great handout that we had for folks, the program. The artwork was very nice in that. I know it'll help me next time, because now I grabbed one to save as a sample so I can show people.
Yeah, is there another one floating around I can stick in the archives?
I have, if not, I'll bring it.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, how are you?
The only issue that I had with it, and I did not notice it until Saturday night, is they were on the front page, but Tar Heel Wealth Management's ad was not big enough. And I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, shit. But it's got, we thank our sponsors, and they're on the front page, and
It was well done. And also, it was well done on the email and the picture of the lady that won the gun. And documentation of the ticket to the right. Excellent.
the gun, and I'm gonna tell y'all this, the gun was won by my sister-in-law. I knew that was gonna be, that's the reason but the gun is on its, was on its way Sunday morning to Chenal Beach.
Very cool. That was great.
Gonna shoot fish?
No, her husband.
There's the change.
I have another bit of information for you. Many of you know this, I don't know if you all do. We had lots of excess food, and somebody in our club had the good sense to talk to our resident police officer and say, hey, would you cops like some food? And of course they said, heck yes. And I'm telling you, it was like the feeding of the 5,000. We took more food to the police officers than we brought into that. I mean, it was just like tray after tray. We took, what, 2 or 3 big pans of just of dessert.
Oh, the dessert.
Just
yeah.
the dessert. And the chicken pans just kept coming. I mean, it was like pan. So they said, we're going to have to call the firefighters in to help us eat this. I mean, we took their break room, we covered their tables in their break room with food.
And then, you know, those big, long white coolers, that's what they stuffed the stuff into. Thanks to you, a big shout out to Ken for using his truck, and to those of you who lifted those things, and Vidal, I forget.
Vidal.
He picked one up himself, you know, and just everybody, you know, did a good job. I did not, but a lot of work.
That was a lot of, for $7 a person, he must have lost money because he had double the food that we needed, or something. I don't know what happened, but that was a lot of food.
I talked to Bibi, Ron's wife, Bibi Leach, who for years was the director or executive president, whatever they called her, over at the CDB, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and the Trade Center. And I told her that we were using Market on Main, and I was asking her about her experience with them, and that was fun. They had very good experience with Market on Main. And she looked over and she said, I'd like to be nosy and ask you what he's charging you for this. I said, sure, it's $7 a plate. She looked at me and said, he is not making money on this.
Yeah.
The only reason he's doing this is either he's being gracious or he wants to get his name in front of people. And it's probably a combination of the
Bob's
two.
blackmailing.
That's right.
He wanted his car back.
I still got his car.
No, you know, in his defense too, I use him a lot too. I've been using him for years too.
Yeah.
My family does too. My sister got married just about 5 months ago in the summer.
Yeah.
And our Christmas party's always held there for my shop, and I do something
Yeah,
with my guys.
he does a small business Christmas party on December 15th. Then you can utilize his facility, whether you have 5 employees or 25 employees. And he offers a DJ and a meal, and I think it's like $25 a person. It's a meal for the night, so a lot of small businesses use that. And he fills the place up doing that, so.
Red Cross uses it, and I've never had a bad experience So,
Well, I went back, we went back over on Monday, and Phil and myself and Austin picked up the pots and pans that were left behind, and then Ruben coerced Phil and Austin into washing all the dishes, which took just under 2 hours to wash. And
That was the machine's fault, though. Phil can
Oh.
attest, that machine doesn't work near as quick as the Hip Your Soup Kitchen's dish machine. We would have been done in an hour and a half. You should have seen Phil's face when Reuben tried to give him a beer at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Reuben's like, yeah, this is what we do. It was great.
Yeah, well,
It was
since,
great.
since I'm Presbyterian,
Yeah.
if it had been Scotch, I couldn't have turned it down. You're right, I could.
But thank you guys.
We're good.
Thank you from behalf of the committee to step up and clean that, because we just did that to help John out. John's in Cuba, as they say it, this week, and
Don't feel too bad for him.
yeah, I'm not.
Whatever happened to the floor?
It happened before we got there.
What did?
What's
No,
the
no,
story?
no, it didn't.
What's
No,
the story?
Frankenstein's shoe came apart, is what happened.
Oh.
And I looked at the floor through the window the day we went over on Monday. It looked like it was already cleaned up, so.
Okay. It had a bunch of rubber rubbed into the wood.
yeah, Bob had advised them that mineral spirits would
Yeah.
pick it up, and I'm sure it would.
And if I get a refund, like they always send me, I'll let you know, but they usually get back $250.
Who has the membership brick now?
It's in front of you.
No. Who has the membership brick now?
Maybe I do.
I thought you.
Austin,
I bet it's in
you
my
got-
office.
Yeah.
I don't have any money on
Warning, anybody who doesn't use the brick
$85.
as intended is gonna end up with the gold brick. And the gold brick's gonna have 5 times the fines that go with it. Instead of $1, it'll be $5. Okay? We are going to get serious about bringing members in the club. And
Do guests count?
guests count.
Oh, I had 2 guests in between when I picked the brick. I'll bring it back next week. I'll pay my
You were
$5
fine, you
fine.
had guests, you had program guests, you brought
Yeah,
in.
but he mistreated the
I
brick.
mistreated the brick. I'm good with $5 towards membership. I like it. Mistreated the brick.
Poor brick.
The poor, poor brick.
Yeah.
All right, has the club approved what you're saying?
I'm proposing it now. We had mentioned it 2 meetings ago about the gold brick. There's the gold brick, and it warns, don't be a gold brick, all over it.
I would think personally, the $5 fine probably hits everybody enough to get their attention. And I don't think it's necessary to have that other gold brick. That's just my opinion.
Just watch out, it could land on you.
Well, I'm just saying, my opinion, and the club has to approve it.
Yeah.
But if I fine everyone $5 for not processing the brick, as
No.
they should,
Let me,
That
that
gets
might be too
expensive.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think $25 may be a
Thanks.
little excessive.
Awesome.
Small
Yeah.
token of mine.
one thing I'd like us to consider,
I paid his fine.
going back to our strategic plan, there's a whole section on membership. All right?
So we bring 2 people, 3 people.
But there's a lot of stuff on that, that if we just go back and look at that and consider doing something a little more positive than finding somebody for not having, you know what I'm saying? The brick idea is cool,
Give me $5 to bring in members.
but, you know, how
A
about?
discount off your membership.
No.
Instead of finding people, and this is just for thought, talk about it later, instead of finding people lots of money for not having somebody in, how about rewarding them or doing something in a positive nature for bringing in a guest, and especially if that guest turns into to a member. That kind of, just consider positive reinforcement rather than negative reinforcement.
Okay, can I suggest something?
Sure.
Yes.
If somebody brings in a member and they sign up as a member, they get a free table at the dance.
Nuts.
That's $300.
A free table at the dance.
All right, or either a night out with Kenny Kluntz.
It would cost you more than a free table.
I'd give a free ticket, but I don't know about a free table.
Okay.
Now that girl will come up there, I don't know.
Or a pair of tickets, so he can bring his wife, or she can bring her husband.
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe
a
a pair
pair.
of tickets maybe or something.
Let's keep the discussion of membership out front, that we're conscious and aware of bringing in quality people into the club.
Oh, yeah, he said quality, I'm done.
He's out.
won't be intimately familiar with this, although he occasionally sees the slips of paper, but you all know that in the years when I've substituted for Wayne, to help relieve the stress of the excessive fining that sometimes go on, I usually have a program that includes handing out get out of Wayne free tickets. So we might consider, when you bring a guest, that you get a few get out of fine tickets. We'll just we might hand you a few of those. Usually what happens is you all lose them, so I don't have to pay much money.
5 years, I've never had one.
Yeah, so we might consider that as a little bit of a positive incentive for bringing in guests.
Can we go over some names real quick since we're discussing membership? Mark.
Which Mark?
Bumgarner.
Bumgarner. Is he gonna stay a member? Does anybody know?
He's paying like clockwork for
Okay,
his company.
so we won't put him on the list.
So I don't know.
What about our other Mark,
Mark Pittman.
Pittman?
No,
No, he's gone.
well, I don't know if he's gone, but I have not. Do I need to, help me, am I supposed to be
Well,
saying
that's
something
why I'm
now? This
raising
should
it
be
now,
executive
because
session.
we're about to
I don't want to
face,
call people out.
we're about to face the issue of cleaning the plate off, because we have Tracy also.
Probably that's a discussion for the executive session.
Yeah,
I think.
well,
Well, except we have to make the decision before year end.
we're all here, and it's, and I would agree with you that a final decision doesn't need to be made right this second. But we need to be thinking about, because there's a certain point in time, right, when we have to send in.
We're getting close.
But we're also paying for people who are not paying dues.
That's right. Now, I'll tell you what's gonna happen to Yapundich. We worked it out that before year end, I'm gonna turn him into an honorary member, which will just, the only advantage to that is it facilitates his getting back in when he's ready to become an active Rotarian once again. So we will name him an honorary member of this club. He will continue to get our emails, and he's, as an honorary member, welcome to come and all that, but he'll be out of the dues program.
And he paid pursuant to that agreement that the
Yes,
club
yes,
did.
that's
I wanna make
4
sure.
names. Are there any other names that need to be considered for being dropped? Because we're gonna have to go into the new year clean.
The new year, you mean new calendar year?
New Rotary year.
Rotary, right.
Yeah,
Didn't we talk about sending a letter out?
we did send a letter out, that's not a
Okay.
problem. We sent
Okay,
a
and
letter.
if
Yeah,
they
they've been
didn't
contacted.
respond, so if they haven't responded, and I love Mark Pittman to death, but and I've had a conversation with him where he was like, yeah, I just can't do it right now. And I hate to base that on that little bit of
He
information,
had
but
indicated at that point in time that he was willing to look at the videos to try to stay current.
Well,
Is he
And
paying-
paying his
is he
dues.
paying the dues?
And I don't know, he is not paying the
No,
dues.
No, I have received, no, I haven't received anything.
And there's been some discussion in the past and some side discussions among each of us as to what we ought to do about dues and should there be a cutoff point. And it seems like something like 2 past quarters of dues
Yes.
might be a good point. I mean, that's a half a year. If somebody's a half a year behind, it seems to me that may be a good trigger for Glenn and me, I guess.
I just notify you.
Yeah,
Okay.
for us to work on that, and I'll take the responsibility of
The
contacting.
the consequence of this that could pee somebody off is when we strike them from the rolls, their Rotary Foundation points contributions will revert to the property of the club, and they will no longer have foundation credits, okay?
Time out for just a second. What Bob's talking about is the $100 that we pay a year, we're invoiced for, that goes to the Rotary Foundation, builds credit for Paul Harris Fellowship. When you have 1,000 points or $1,000 accumulated, then you can be awarded Paul Harris Fellows. Now, when someone leaves the club, those points that person was accumulating towards credit for that is what Bob's talking about.
Stay in the club account. Not many people realize you are not members of Rotary.
Now you tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The club is a member of Rotary International, not individuals, okay? And the property of those points stays in the ownership of the club, okay? That's how that works, why that works that way. Which, by the way, thank you, I've been on the last 4 days haggling with Rotary International, and we've got a number of things straightened out. We finally show as a club 100% Paul Harris. Guys, congratulations. And I advised both the past district governor and the current district governor of that, and we got an attaboy. So persistence pays off. So we will, I'm sure, be considered for our banner in recognition to go with that. And in that regard, I don't know who saw, I can't remember who the email was addressed to, but Ron suggests for Kenny to know that we, if the club agrees, we would take the Paul Harris column off the back of the bulletin. That it no longer be something, as a 100% club, it no longer be something that we track. We are a 100% club, and we all will be contributing. And the thing we'll have to remember we want to get is ERA, every Rotarian every year, which will be automatic because of the way we pay our dues.
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, Glenn. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I just really quick, on the invoice or on the dues, what helps me is if you get an invoice to please just pay that quarter. Because, you know, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a person who's very astute with this stuff. Please feel free to talk with me if you think. But when you get the invoice, pay that 60 for that quarter, because that's what I record. When people wait a year or two or whatever and pay for multiple, and I'm not fussing, I'm just saying it makes my life easier, and I'm not prone to making a mistake. Because it just helps if you just pay. And most of the people are very good with that. So I want to say thank you to those who are doing it.
You know the artist Monk? Remember his scream? Not many people realize that was his accountant. You know.
Oh, but thank you. I just wanted to make
If
mention.
you're eliminating columns, either eliminate or update the perfect attendance one. I've been listed as 4 years perfect attendance, and I probably have about 9.
Oh. In that regard, I think we ought to take attendance off that column, off altogether, because Rotary has relaxed. Now, we haven't discussed this, and not many people realize it. Rotary has completely relaxed all of its attendance rules. They've literally wiped them out.
I'd eliminate that column too.
We ought to take them both off.
I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Any more discussion on eliminating those 2 columns from the bulletin? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Kenny, please clean us up.
I got one
Yes, sir.
comment. Now, I did miss a meeting or two on the proper ways to ask for anything. That's my fault. But when this gentleman was up here talking about, I don't know if we can do it, if Golden Corral does it, I don't know who does it. He said, but it costs between $500 and $600 to send one of those kids to camp. I will pay $50. If, you know, everybody in here pay $50, or we can, to make it as a donation out of this group, out of this chapter, to send one of those kids to that camp.
You have started the proper procedure. You brought it to the club, and now here's what happens. Now we have a little blank form, which I'll get to you, for you to fill out and what your proposal would be. For instance, your proposal could be, I'm not sure if I'm hearing you correctly, but it could be either to match donations that are given by folks, or to have a flat dollar amount the club would. That gets submitted. The committee of 5 folks that review these things meets, looks at that, and brings a recommendation back to the club. And we put that process in place after our Saturday meeting about a month ago, to bring some order and give a little time for everybody to know what's going on and take care of that. So,
And the process is you let the club know what has been requested.
that's, yeah.
And so that if the club wants to email the committee any comment, then the committee can have some information to discuss.
That's right, yeah. So step one is I'll get you that form that you can, you can print it and write it out and get it back to me, or do it electronically, whatever is convenient for you. And then I'll get an email to the club, the committee will meet and consider that. And there is a $500 cap on any of those requests. So,
We do sponsor, or we should have provisions to sponsor 1 or 2 students to Rotary's Youth Leadership Academy also. Right. So I think it's completely appropriate to put a similar sort of thing in for a worthwhile camp.
What, one other comment about the dance that I forgot to mention, even though I made myself a note. Rotaract, as you know, were there to help us with the food. They didn't serve because people came through on the buffet line, but they were around to help keep the pans going and answer questions from the guests and so on. And I believe we had 4 Rotaracts there.
4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5. Yes, sir.
No, there's one of those, Bob was looking for one of those sponsorship.
I can give you that.
Thank you.
That's not this is the official one. Okay. I need to show the cafe rule if they're in on this deal.
Yeah.
And just keep Rochelle in your thoughts.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Jenny has been communicating with her a lot. The 2 women talk to each other, and Jenny mentioned that Rochelle's alone a lot, that she's by herself, and maybe an email or a call or something, just, and I emailed her yesterday, see if I think about to do for her. Just keep her in your thoughts.
All right, any last minute thoughts?
Rotaract. We are still in the process of establishing a Rotaract club here at LR, and we will be a co-sponsor with
All right. Donald, if you have a second, I'd like to chat with you after the meeting.
Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
There we go. Good job. I was so busy looking at the banner, I forgot to ding.
You ding dong, you.
Okay.